When my right testicle exploded after receiving an illegal knee to the groin in a Muay Thai fight in China, I was in what you call unbearable pain. I do have the photos from before, during, and after the surgery. There might be a link somewhere here, but there'll definitely be a link below. But this story happened, and the pictures are mwah. When we talk about growth, we usually talk about something noble, intentional, beautiful even. Growth for me started with this rupture. I was at my peak, I would say, 28. And by peak, I mean in terms of arrogance, false confidence, ego, invincibility. I was covered in tattoos and wearing ridiculous clothing. Neon short shorts and bright fanny packs, floral shirts and flip-flops, no matter what the occasion. And I'm straight. Anyways, it was one big knee to the groin that sort of cracked my world in half. But this episode isn't about the pain. It's about what happens when something breaks and nobody's there to help you fix it. This is about when you lose a piece of you that you're never getting back. Let's get into the masculinity, humor, mortality, and shame surrounding losing one half of your childbearing balls. I'm Canadian, and when I was 25, I left Canada to go live in Brazil. After a short couple years, I had the opportunity to go to China, and I took it. I was training Muay Thai with instructors from Thailand, and acting, teaching, training, traveling, speaking on the side. It was quite a thrilling life. I was training at the UFC Beijing gym. I saw Jingliang Li, I saw Yan Xiaonan, and even Wei Li Zhang. On a Friday, after a hard week's training, we typically have sparring. This Friday, we set up a fight between myself and one of my friends, a local Chinaman that was also training Muay Thai. It started off fine, then got more and more intense as the rounds went on. Finally, he went to throw an enormous kick or knee, we're still not quite sure, as I stepped in for a punch, and his knee hit me directly in the groin. What I didn't know at the time was that my right testicle had exploded into hundreds of pieces. I fell to the floor. I'm sure I screamed like a schoolgirl. They dragged me off to the side and gave me an ice pack for my nuts. But after a few minutes of that, the pain did not go away. It started to intensify. So I thought, let's turn the Muay Thai fight into a boxing match because I can no longer raise my legs. Well, as you can probably guess, that didn't go very well either. Oh, Stefan, why do you always throw yourself into these risks without thinking? Again and again and again. Well, I couldn't finish the boxing match, so I decided to go home. Did I mention that my home was about 7 kilometers away and that I got to and from the gym by bicycle? You've probably ridden a bike before, and you know that those seats are probably not great for testicles. It was an extremely painful pedal home. I think I remember only using one of my legs to pedal while I was cupping my nether regions with my hands to prevent them from bouncing up and down on the seat. By the time I got home, it was early evening. I was still in excruciating pain. But I thought, I'm a fighter. I can get through this. So what did I do? I made myself a stiff old-fashioned, very stiff, and then tried to relax. No sleep came. The pressure and pain intensified. I found myself at 5 a.m. holding my testicles to my stomach because they were pulling down on my abdomen and made me want to vomit. As the morning cracked on, I realized that I should probably get a professional opinion. So I took a Didi, that's a Chinese Uber, which I paid with Weixi, that is the Chinese WhatsApp. It's called WeChat, to the nearest hospital. I got out of the cab very gingerly and waddled over to the front doors. Of course, all the signs were in Chinese, and all the staff spoke Chinese, and it was very difficult to get my meaning across. It was a lot of pointing at my junk with pleading hands. Eventually, we used our translation apps at the desk, and how no, they couldn't treat me. I guess it's not in the cards, and I'll probably be fine. That Saturday was hell. Little did I know that my testicle was dying. It had turned black and grown to the size of a tennis ball. But of course, the pain was so intense that I couldn't really think straight. Hours were rolling by, and I was just writhing on my bed. Finally, Saturday night, midnight, I knew I needed help. So I found another hospital. When I arrived, I was not taking no for an answer. I was white as a sheet, sweating, maybe even starting to yellow. I was in serious trouble. I could barely walk inside. I was almost on all fours, and I just said, "Help, please look at me." But I can only thank the staff of this hospital. At some point, they did put me through a scan or an MRI or an X-ray or some sort of machine to look at what was happening internally. I did have to get fully naked. And I took that as a good sign that they were taking me seriously. Because until someone asks you to strip down, you don't know what they're thinking. Whoever was looking at my scan realized there was an issue. And before you know it, there were many, many people, nurses and doctors, in the room discussing in hushed voices and looking at the paper that had printed of the photo of little Stefanzinho. Thankfully, I was told that yes, they could help. Unfortunately, they said that I had a dead testicle. Yes, we needed surgery. Yes, it had to be now. And so the process began. 3 nurses led me into one area of the hospital for prepping. All very cute. They put me in a robe and I met the surgeon. A man of about 4'10". He put his arm around me and in broken English said the following. "Stefan, it's a really bad, okay? You have a very broken testicle, but I can fix." And I said, "Haole, hauraba," which was some of the only Chinese that I knew. The surgeon leaves. The nurses get me ready, and they start wheeling me through the hallways of the hospital. I was in what looked like a gymnasium, an empty gymnasium, and a silver table on which there was a metallic tray with about 20 different torture utensils. Razors and knives and tweezers and scalpels. They were rolling me into saw. I noticed that at the back of the auditorium, there was a glass wall behind which there were about maybe 20 to 30 nurses and doctors with clipboards. In shuffles in my surgeon, big smile on his face, and he sort of leans on the bed next to me. He might have even thrown a leg up. He put his arm around me and said, "Stefan, I do testicular exploration, okay? Haole." He took the hospital mask that was connected to a tube with whatever laughing gas or sleeping juice, put it over my face, and asked me to count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I was out. I woke up in a different room, however many hours later. Who should come shuffling in again but my little surgeon man? Once again, he hoisted his leg on top of my bed, put his arm around me, and before saying anything, showed me a TikTok he had created, and it included photos of my package before, when it was fully opened up and inside out, and you could see the mess, and during and after repairs. He also told me one other interesting story. That guy had his penis cut off by his wife. True story. The gentleman next to me in this, I guess, penis ward had had his penis snipped off with a pair of scissors. And yes, I did feel better. I was in the hospital for another 2 to 3 weeks, and that was that. For 3 days, I suffered in the dark with one good ball and a mind full of dark thoughts. I was 28 years old, in a country as foreign as could possibly be, with one testicle dying and not knowing where to go for help. There was fear. There was panic. Would I be able to have kids? Would I be fine? Was I bleeding internally? Was I going to die? But really, when you're in that much pain, all you can do is manage it. Only later did I start thinking, would I still be a man? It's funny how so much can hinge on a testicle. Am I right? How did I let this happen to myself? Why do I take such big risks without thinking of the consequences or taking the necessary precautions? Why do I self-sabotage? Why do I self-destruct? Oh, and this wasn't my only Muay Thai injury. Toes, ankles, knees, I blew out an eardrum, broke a rib, and the list goes on. Well, Stefan, you were once whole. You are less than whole now. You have literally lost a part of your body. There is less of you on earth than there used to be. Eventually, this injury becomes sort of a metaphor. That life is going to break you over and over and over again. It will break your bones, your heart, your mind, and your testicle. The pain is real. And remember that pain. Remember that you got through it. Yes, you are breakable, but you are repairable. Learn from your pain and your mistakes. Your masculinity doesn't live in your balls. It lives up here. And in your balls. So yeah, my testicle exploded from an illegal knee in a Muay Thai fight in China. But it wasn't just my testicle that broke. It was the aura of invincibility. I was a boy, and now I had become a man, but also less of a man. If you have gone through something comparable, whether it's mind, heart, body, soul, feel free to put it in the comments. You can also email me at bricktomarblepodcast@gmail.com. You can send me a voice memo, or you can just share your feelings anonymously, and we can make an episode out of it. All right, builders, see you every Sunday. And remember, growth equals 1 testicle lighter, 10 insights deeper. I don't know if there's a growth equation from this. Just know that pain is coming. Brick by brick, we'll get there. Valeu!